Happy Saturday. I initially started this video when I was on my run. And I watched it and I was like, there is no way I'm going to post a video of myself running and talking because you hear me heavy breathing and my feet stomp, stomp, stomp. So it wasn't very good. So this morning, I was going to run with my running partner and son to Friendly Fox. It's like an 8-mile run, and I was going to do 2 miles before that and then do that run with them. And I decided last night we were supposed to have heavy fog, and I didn't want to do that long run because about half of it is in the roads and not on sidewalks, and I just didn't want to be in dense fog and in the road and things like that. So I texted my running partner and I was like, so hey, you just go with Paul and I'll just do like a loop around here and get my mileage in. And so he came this morning, and okay, when he got here this morning, I was in leaders meeting for my Bible study, and he was like, I'm just gonna sit on your couch and wait till you're done with leaders meeting, and we'll just do a different route, a route that's all sidewalks so that you can go with us. So we decided to do one to a place called the Perk, a coffee shop here, and that's 6 miles from here. So that was good, and I was glad to be doing that. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, so I've got till February 18th for my half marathon to get all my training runs in, and I really need to do a 10-miler today. So anyways, I was just trying to figure that all out. But I thought, I can make it happen. I can split it up between 2 days, or I can do part of the run this morning, part of the run later today, but I'll get it done. So we did do our 6-miler this morning. And even though we run together, we're not ever really together because they leave me pretty early in the run. I really can't get a whole lot of words in a minute's time, let me tell you. But I just keep making more videos. I learned that today also on the run when I was trying to make videos. So we did the run. We ran to the Perk, which was great. I got a Cafe Miel. If you don't know what a Cafe Miel is, it's a honey cinnamon latte. I highly recommend it. It is not particularly low carb or keto, but I can make it fit in my macros sometimes. And knowing that I just burned 600 calories on that run, I knew that I could fit those carbs in. So we did that. And then we drove back. Doug always picks us up. We do all of our long runs typically as a destination run. It's kind of like we get a reward at the end, and it makes it a lot more fun. And so Doug he's my run support, and he always comes to get me, which is fantastic because he could just sleep in, and he doesn't. He comes to get us. So anyway, he came to get us, and then we drove back. And then, of course, by the time I've been sitting that 5 miles home, 6 miles home, I'm pretty stiff. And I got out of the car and I was stiff, and I'm like, okay, I really need to get 4 more miles in. And I got in the house and checked in with the kids, and I decided I'm already in running clothes. I might as well just go out of my house, knock the last 4 miles out, and get my 10 miles in, close to each other. Then all my stiffness and soreness can come later. So I did. And there's a loop around my house that I will sometimes, it was my 75 hard route when I would do like a 45-minute walk. That's about 1.75 miles. And so the other week I did that 4 times. Yeah, 4 times. And I got my 7-miler in, so I thought, that wasn't so bad. It's kind of like mental trickery because I'm like, okay, sorry, I just had to let out a dog. Mental trickery, that's what I was saying. I found that even though I thought I would hate it, doing a circle around here that I do just for like a normal walk, I do that once, and I'm like, that's not so bad. I can do that again. That's not so bad. I can do that again. So I did that, and I knew it wouldn't equal to a complete 4, so on one of the streets I just took a right instead of coming left to come back home. So anyway, I got my 10 in, and it was really good. And as I was coming down the last half mile, I could tell, okay, your body's out of magnesium. You're starting to cramp up. So get in the house and start chugging electrolytes. And so I do, I take electrolytes every day. I don't do anything with sugar. Right now I'm doing Key Nutrients. I get on Amazon, and they have Okay, I was right in the middle of telling you it's in my electrolytes, but it's like a mixture. Normally electrolytes are just sodium, magnesium, potassium, but these have like B vitamins and some other things in them too, so they're a little elevated. I mean, and I like them a lot. I really like Relight by Redmond Salt. They have like an immunity one. I really like that one too. And then I've used Ultima, and I like that. Liquid IV now has one without sugar. I would always do mine without sugar. I just don't feel like sugar's ever good for us. I mean, obviously it's a treat, but I don't want to drink it my electrolytes, so I drink them every day. So anyway, I got home, and I filled out my Hydro Jug. So Stanley is a craze, and I do like Stanleys. My daughters have Stanleys, and they're beautiful, and I do like them. But the one thing is, when my daughter brings hers in the car, and it tips over sideways, it spills everywhere. And so when I saw the Hydro Jug, I have like a couple stainless half-gallon Hydro Jugs and several plastic ones and sleeves, and I was kind of into that. For 7, okay. When I was doing 75 hard, I would carry my half-gallon jug with me in a sleeve, because then I could like kind of put it on my neck, and I didn't have to carry. Anyway, I would drink it. I would get a half-gallon down on my walk, a 45-minute walk. So anyway, but the Stanley size is super helpful. I shouldn't call it a Stanley size. The 40-ounce size is very helpful. And the Hydro Jugs is my favorite of all the ones I've seen on the market. I mean, I looked at the Yeti, I looked at the Hydro Flask. I consider it Stanley, but I can do this. I can do this. It does not leak. It's fantastic. So I either put water or electrolytes in that every day, sometimes more than once. Sometimes I get all my other water in by peppermint tea. I'm kind of obsessed with peppermint tea. I'm gonna let a dog in. Okay, that's what I was talking about. So as I'm running, as I often run, my mind is going. I am writing in my mind. I'm making videos in my mind. I'm thinking of a lot of videos. Okay. When I run, I think. I pray for people. I write. Like, I write things in my head. If I'm going to do a post, a lot of times I'll write it. And think about things I'd like to put on a YouTube video, which I'm not very successful at doing. But I want to help people. And I've been a nutrition nerd since I kind of switched majors at IU to more nutrition, because nutrition fascinates me. I had a lady I babysat for, a little story here. A lady I babysat for in college, and I think her husband is probably still the head of O'Neill. But anyway, fantastic people, loved them so much, and she was really into nutrition. And she got this magazine, and it was like all right, back to that magazine. It was not like a commercial magazine. It was like a .org. It'd be a .org today. It's an organization, and it wasn't a government, like a nonprofit group that just really sought to show how bad stuff was for us. That's where I really learned that trans fats were terrible for me, and that was back in the 90s. Anyway, oh my gosh, I just love this magazine so much. And so after her little kids would go to bed, I would just read all through all her issues, and I loved them. And I would go, and Doug and I were dating, and I would get with him, and I'd be like, oh, I learned this, and I learned this, and I learned this, and this magazine was ahead of its time. Now we would be like, oh yeah, we know that. But anyway, it was so good. And I think that when I got pregnant with Kelsey and we got married, I think that's what she gave me. Her wedding gift was a subscription to this magazine, and I just loved it so much. So that's where my passion started. So my son-in-law, who is just finishing residency down in Fort Lauderdale, he calls, when he gets into books and studying, he calls it a nerd safari, and I really like that terminology. He and I like to talk about the same things. We like to talk about the science of food and our bodies and our microbiome and our metabolism and endocrine system and hormones, and it's a good time. But I'm going to switch tracks for a minute. So, on this week, in 2004, is when I found out my mom had cancer. She was 54. I'm 54 today. I mean, I'm 54 since September, and she'd been 54 since October. And then she wasn't feeling well, and she came to celebrate Elena's upcoming birthday. And she had told me right before she came that she wasn't feeling well, that some things were going on in her brain. She said her brain was kind of going. She'd said she was forgetting things, and of course, at this point, I'm pregnant with Paul. I had 8 girls, 9 tenths. That's my 10th baby. I'm pregnant with my 10th baby, and I'm like, you're just not forgetting things at 54, Mom? I've been forgetting things for years. So I kind of made light of it, told her I would help her do a detox, and she was like asking me how to change things so that she'd feel better. And they came to visit, and we went to the mall. We always went to the mall when my mom was here, and we would get lunch and sit at the little apple tables. The kids would. I had 9 little kids. And she was walking into furniture, like just straight walking into tables. And then she'd start to cry. And it was hard. And then we went home, and my dad, I think, drove up to Lansing that day to do some work, and he was going to come. So he came back, and I was like, Dad, I think she needs to go to be seen. I think something's going on bigger than, whatever. And so she wanted to stay, and the other thing we did whenever she came for a kid's birthday was I got to pick where they wanted to go out to eat, and we'd go out to eat. And so we went to Red Lobster, and we were in the parking lot, and we met my dad there. He had met us there coming back from Lansing, and she went to walk over to him, and instead of walking towards him, she walked straight into a car. And then, of course, she started to cry, and I started to cry, and we decided that he would just take her back to Bloomington and try to get her to go to the doctor or the hospital, ER, anything. And then the next day, she's like, no, I'm going to detox. I don't want to go. And so she did like all these Epsom salt baths and different things I told her to try, which I really wanted her to go to the doctor. And on Sunday she wouldn't, so she started to do this, I'm sure I involved castor oil, and it was a pre-essential oil, so I'm not sure what all stuff I told her to do, but probably apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, and cayenne, and every other detox thing I knew, plus the Epsom salt baths. Anyway, she did it, and it kicked her into some serious diarrhea, I think. Anyway, she wouldn't go to the doctor that day, but the next day she was willing to go to ER. And Dad took her, and they did a lot of things, and she didn't want me to know, but he went to the elevator and called me and said they found an orange-sized tumor in her lungs and 2 tumors in her brain that were golf ball size, and they also found a small amount of breast cancer. So they were just going to make her comfortable. They did radiation, chemo, and make her comfortable, and so it was a 7-month battle. Like I said, this was right before I had Paul. This was in late January, early February, and I had Paul mid-March. So I spent time down there, and anyway, was with her when I could be through that, and it was really hard because I'm the only child, and so we were close. She was like my best friend, and losing her was something I never thought I would do until she was old. But she's one of my whys. I would say she's my why, and she is a big why. She did smoke, because truly, she didn't eat that bad. I mean, Dad was low carb a lot. He was Atkins a lot, and so I would say she fasted until lunch every day, and then she just ate protein, and for dinner she ate protein. So she really didn't eat bad. She wasn't a sugar person, but she smoked a pack. Okay, I think that ended with me saying she smoked a pack a day for 30 years. So that's hopefully what caused it, but I feel like it's in my genetics. Her family has a lot of heart disease, and there's cancer on my dad's side, and so I was like, I've got 13 kids. Now I've got 10 grandkids, and I need to do things differently. I was overweight from having the babies, and so, my first step was losing weight, and I did lose 50 pounds with Trim Healthy Mama. That's where I started my journey, and that was 2013. So it was after I had my last baby was in 2011, and then 2013 I started Trim Healthy Mama, and I started working out in 2015. My girls got me a gym membership, and they created a monster, because then I was like, And then I'll fast forward to 2017, and Mary started training for a half marathon. I thought, I don't want to train for half. I want to train. I want to run. I ran college. I want to run some more. I ran in high school. So I started running. And now I'm on day 1,540 something. 46, 43, something like that. I counted it today. Anyway, I want to be the best example to the kids and the grandkids. Now, granted, I feed my grandkids sugar and fun things because it's kind of an honor thing. But for the most part, I want to be a good example of, part of my kids' homeschooling is I have them read nutrition books. I have them listen to podcasts on it. I feel like I want you to make whatever decision you want to make. But if you're going to make dumb ones, I want you to make dumb ones knowing they're dumb ones, because I want you to live your best life. I sure hope I get through this video without my phone dying, because I run 10 miles and my battery's dying. But hopefully I get through this. And so I read a lot. I read fiction, I read nonfiction, I read a lot about running, I read a lot about, like I said, nutrition things, and I read books that help me with tougher mindset, like Andy Frisella with 75 Hard, and David Goggins, which I have to heavily caution you to read that. If you do read it, listen to the audio in the clean version, because he's got some language. But doing hard things. So today when I got home and I was stiff and I was sore, I was like, I could make excuses and just be like, tomorrow I'll run 4, and I'll just combine those 2 and be 10. But I thought that's not going to make me feel better on the day of the race. And Mary already did 10 this week, and she's who I'm running with in Florida for the A1A half marathon we're going to do, which is be along the beach. Will be super cool, except for the fact that I'm training in really cold weather. And I think training in cold weather and then going down there and running this in whatever it is at that point is going to be hard. But worst case scenario, I just go a little slower, and that's okay. For this half marathon, I started training the Galloway method, which is like walking and running, but like in systematic intervals, so that it's supposed to make it a little bit easier. And menopause has been hard on me. It's been, my hormone symptoms really aren't bad. Like my hot flashes aren't bad. I don't really have many other symptoms. The symptom I only have is the weight gain. And that's hard on me because I don't want to gain weight. I work so hard to lose it. And I do have really high muscle mass. I mean, when I do body scans, I've got a lot of muscle. But it's still hard to see weight go on. And, in places I don't want it to be. So, anyway. So, what the weight gain means for me is I am several minutes, a couple minutes slower per mile. And I don't like that. And on some of the harder runs, longer runs, it's harder. I mean, I weigh more. It's harder. So I decided to, I've always resisted. I've seen Jeff Galloway's booths at a lot of the races I've done, the big races, and I'm like, don't want to walk run. And then the last half marathon I did, I was running by some girls who did it. I could tell they were specifically like doing it as intervals. And I thought, that's an idea, because at the end of that race, I had 6 black toenails. I lost at least 3. They came back, but it's not a good experience. And that told me a couple things. It told me I needed to run more miles, because even though I run every single day, I wasn't doing enough long runs. And those long runs train your toes, not just the rest of your feet, just your whole body, but they train your toes too. So my toes were like, what are you doing running 13 miles? I even had a big toe box in my shoe. I ran in some Hoka racing shoes. I was thinking, I was good. This is going to be the first half marathon I ran without black toes. And there I have more black toes than ever. And it was like 2 weeks before Esther's wedding, right? And I'm wearing open-toed shoes. And I went into a nail salon. I'm like, will you give me a pedicure? And they're like, but I had a friend, and her daughter does nails, and so she would very carefully give me a pedicure. And she wasn't scared of me. Anyway, okay, so this is a lot about running, so I'm going to take off my shoes here. My running shoes, because I want you guys to see them. I wear a lot of running shoes, a lot of different kinds, a lot of different brands, but these are my current favorites. They are This is definitely Heather Saturday all over the place. Okay, so these are Nike Zagamas. They're a trail shoe. I rarely run trails, but they were on super clearance when I got them. I mean, I think I'm like 200 miles in on these right now. But they have got to be one of the softest shoes I've ever worn. And I have a... I'm going to go back to them. Do you see how thick that is? I mean, these guys are thick. Anyway, I love them. One of my son-in-laws just got me a pair of Brooks Adrenalines for Christmas. And I love those too, but I don't want to wear them outside yet because it's really yucky outside. So I only wear those on my treadmill runs right now. I'll probably end up wearing those for the race maybe because they're such low miles, and Adrenalines always are just amazing shoes. I think it's my third or fourth pair that I've worn through. I haven't worn through those yet, but that I've worn out. And I've had some shoes I've loved, a couple Hokas I've loved. I keep coming back to Nikes, and I'm partial to Nikes. I read Phil Knight's book, Shoe Dog. That might have been one of the first books I read when I started running, and I loved it. Doug and I have to watch that movie about the Air Jordans. But anyway, love the design behind the shoes, the science behind how they make their shoes. I don't get paid for this, but there are just several of those pairs I really like. The Vaporflies, the Zoom Vaporflies I really like. My current Pegasus I really like. I think Pegasus is what I ran in when I was in high school. But I really like them now. There's some I don't like too, but I like more than I don't like of them. I like my Brooks. Anyway, I like my Hokas. Hokas wear out a little bit faster for me. So as many miles as I run. Anyway, I just want to say the Nike Zagamas are fantastic if you want a really super comfortable shoe. This is one of those long videos where I wonder if anyone would listen to it but my mom. I like my mom. Anyway, mental toughness. Do hard things. And if you're not moving, start moving. I went to the gym with a friend this week who hasn't worked out in over 10 years, and she wants to be able to ride a bike with her husband and grandkids this summer. And I was like, as we age, we lose our muscle, and it's important to move in whatever way you can. Walking is fantastic. If you go to the gym, getting on a bike and doing speed intervals, like 20 seconds all out, and then recovering, and then another 20 seconds all out to just really make your body adapt. I think we can do hard things in more than one area of our life too. I mean, I think sometimes just existing, certain seasons we're in of trials, we're doing hard things just to show up each day and get out of bed. But be the best version of yourself that you can. Do it for the people who love you. Do it for people. Push yourself. Eat to live. Get rid of the things that are making you sick. And be willing to change and do things that are harder. Because none of us are going to live forever, but we want how we live to be the best that we can. And I am always so happy to help in any way. Like this friend who just started going to the gym again. I was so excited to help her. And one of the first things I said to her was, eat protein. Eat your goal weight in protein grams. If you got this far, thank you for listening to me. And do hard things. Do something that makes you the best version of yourself. As I'm leading a Bible study right now, we're working through some chapters in John on seeing Jesus' humility and his servanthood and doing that as an example to us. So I believe we need to do hard things in serving others as well. Who does God call me to serve? Who is he calling me to help? And so I think it's not just about doing hard things for becoming like this best human, but for those you love and for those you serve.